So no, really pleased with the character and commitment to get us over the line.
Could you have had a penalty in there as well?
I've not seen it back. I did think at the time, you can often tell with the reaction of the players. I'd love to say that our group claim for everything, but they probably don't claim for enough. So I felt their reaction in that moment probably told me enough, but I'll get a look at it later.
In terms of the pressure that you were under for the first sort of 30 minutes, 35 minutes in the game, what does it say about the resilience within your team that you're able to weather that storm and then come back into it?
They seem to enjoy the resilience part, because they certainly weren't asked to do what they did for the first 30 minutes. No, look, I understand where we are just now in terms of the group and everything that we're trying to achieve, not just in the 90-minute performances but throughout the week. We are really stretched, and I just felt Celtic probably started a lot quicker tonight in that opening 10 minutes, put us in the back foot. I think Morgan Cross, and a player that I know really well, the types of problems that she can cause you when her side is aggressive in terms of trying to get the ball forward and find her, and that probably just spooked us a little bit. And then I just felt the moments that in the way that we moved the ball just wasn't good enough. So we were really frustrated with our own performance again, but the character and resilience to weather the storm, we probably rode our luck, and I can be honest enough to say that. At 1-0, but certainly the dynamic of the game changes when you get in at half time and it's 1-1. We had made the change in terms of the shape and looked to try and be agile and adaptable to the game and what was being thrown at us, and I just felt the way we performed in the second half was night and day.
The Celtic were frustrated when Morgan was injured just in the build up to that equaliser. What was your take on it?
As in frustration with?
Just because like the game hadn't been stopped, like because she was down injured and play was allowed to go, and I thought sort of you and David having a bit of exchange as well on the touchline.
I know that was nothing. That was only to do with the fact that the physio was being delayed in terms of entering the field of play. I think the assistant referee had offered her the opportunity to enter the pitch, and I don't think we stopped the game for a dead leg. I think that's fair. The game played on. So no, there was nothing in terms of the two dugouts.
Obviously it was about 35 minutes when he kind of kicked back into life, got the equaliser. What was the spark to change it? Because obviously you were under the cosh a lot early doors. You've not managed to get the minutes before half time, so what was the spark that kicked the guys on?
We just changed the shape. We looked at the game and the way the game had been. We changed back to a 3-5-2, reshuffled the pack and looked to try and contain and be a bit more compact, and pick our moments to try and stretch the game and get higher up the pitch. So just the shape, I think, was enough to do that, and calm the players down. At times doing the same thing and trying to push through that is not always the right thing to do. So for us, as a staff group, we felt we could roll the dice at that point and use that as an opportunity to try and settle the game, which it probably did.
Obviously the squad stretched really thin, you've got a lot of players playing a lot of minutes. How do you manage them through, obviously, these big games when there's very little you can change in terms of bodies coming on from the bench?
That is the difficulty, and the players have been first class. I acknowledge that every single day with them. The players that are fit and available are giving us everything on the pitch. The players that are not with us on the pitch are the support network that we need. They're kicking every ball with us. They're very much part of everything that we're doing. So the 90 minutes of football can become testing and challenging, but the reality is tonight we had enough in the squad. The young players that we've brought in and promoted from the 17 just now have been fantastic. The training environment that they've created throughout the week for the players has been excellent. They've come in, they've been super competitive. They've took to it like a duck to water in terms of that changeover and that transition. And then the players tonight, the ones that are on the pitch are quite clearly match fit because they've had a lot of minutes. So that helps. In these types of games, you don't often want to change too much in certain moments. So we were able tonight to do enough to see us through the game.
Having Leah at the back, she's just came back off an injury layoff. How is she getting back to her best again now? She's getting back with some more minutes.
Yep, absolutely. Leah's one that was, we're trying to build in those minutes, and tonight she's come through the game, in the full 90 minutes, which is excellent. The last number of weeks she's, had a niggle that she's been managing, so we've seen her through that. We've tried to look after her. She was off the pitch yesterday, which was a decision that was made just to try and ensure that she would come through tonight, which she has, and hopefully, tomorrow and come Monday, we see the group and what's available and how they've come through the performance. There won't be any more that need any sort of injury layoff, but Leah's excellent. I think her recall back into the national team as well for the next window will do the world of good, and for her it's just about building on these minutes now.
And just final one from me. You mentioned before you'd love to have sort of more fans here at Ibrox. Do you think the Friday night game worked better, being able to get them down here because there was an increase in attendance tonight?
Listen, the attendance was excellent. If we could just turn off the rain the next time we have a game at Ibrox, that would be excellent, and maybe we'd get more folk here. The fans give you the edge. I love it when they're here. I would love there to be thousands more, but the ones that were here tonight gave us absolutely everything, and when it went 2-2, it's the type of game you don't want to lose it if you can kick on and win it, and I felt they injected that energy and gave the players something to really go and get after it, so we're really thankful for that.
Leanne, can I just ask you a wee bit about Mia?
Yeah.
You've obviously played it yourself with real quality players at Glasgow City and at Scotland, but Mia just seems to have that kind of swagger about her that augurs well going forward.
Look, she's a maverick. She's a top footballer, and those types of moments that you see from her tonight, we see it every day, and I think Mia's her own worst critic at points, and I think when she susses out what she's really good at and she keeps that and offers that repetition, the world's her oyster in terms of the game. I'm really glad she's here. I'm really glad I'm getting the opportunity to work with her and what she gives to the group. But everybody's pushing in the same type of direction, and you do need those moments at the top end of the pitch, as you do defensively inside the box as well, which I felt the defence tonight, certain moments weren't perfect, but they stood up to that type of challenge. But I thought the ball from Shinji over the top for Mia as well, again, it's a moment of magic, so we're really pleased that we've got those types of players at the club. But as I said earlier on, I think every player is giving us everything just now and has got a role in the team, which for me is so pleasing.
Does she remind you of anyone, Mia, that you've kind of come up against? She just seems quite gallant.
I know, no, look, it would be easy to try and compare her up against other Scottish wingers over the years, but she probably has a bit of everything. I think that's what's unique about her and really special. And she's such a quiet kid as well. She's not a huge personality. She gets on with everybody in the group and she really fits in. She's more than forthcoming in terms of player-staff relationships. She'll give you a wee bit, which I don't mind. But no, she goes about her business pretty quietly. And as I say, it's up to Mia how far she goes in the game, but we'll enjoy her while she's here at Rangers, and she's a Rangers player.
I'm a big Rangers fan as well, so I think sometimes that helps players coming through when they've got that natural affinity with the club. You have you're playing in front of family and friends, it would have been Rangers season tickets and coming along, and it just gives you something, particularly in a game like tonight.
It does, look, and I think there was a few of them tonight, and a few in the dressing room that has been the childhood, and they've come through the academy system here as well, and they've been very much part of it, which is great. You know, that was something that players of my generation experience. So I think for these types of players, it's amazing that they're here. They're playing at Ibrox on a Friday night, an Old Firm fixture with friends and family, and a game live on TV. It's a thing of dreams. As I say, I wish it had been about for a lot longer, but let's just hope we can enjoy these players in the reality of the Scottish game and where it is just now, and the growth and the development within it. Okay.
Can I ask, you obviously spoke about changing the shape at
Yeah.
half time. I just wonder how important the introduction of Shinji was to making that operate properly.
It was to a point, but I still don't think she was where she would have wanted to be tonight. I thought it was a tough game for her to come into, and then we changed for the 4, we went to the 3, and then we flipped back to the 4 at 2-2. So again, we were trying to be supportive of the group and the players that were on there, because at times you are asking an awful lot of the players, and for somebody like Shinji, she's a fantastic footballer. She's got the moments of quality, as I mentioned, in terms of the assist. But it's a tough game to come in when Celtic are as aggressive as they are in the middle of the pitch, and our fluidity just probably wasn't there in certain moments. But she's been working really hard to get back in amongst the group, so I'm just delighted that she was out there tonight. We managed to get good minutes into the legs with her. Touched on Leah. Camille were trying to build in her minutes and look after her, pick the right types of moments for her to be in the game and give us that impact. And I thought she came in and allowed us to manage that final part of the game and give us the energy and a bit of quality and game management that we needed.
Last one for me, Laura Berry's an interesting one. She obviously spent a bit of time away on loan, has had to do that for her career, and she came back, she's found herself as part of the first team squad. She's quite a decent mentor for a lot of the 17s that have been promoted and took a goal, classic poacher's goal tonight, but I thought she played well tonight.
Brilliant, and again, Laura was one that within the system, and when the system changes, the change in the system probably helps her, because you then go with the 2 strikers and she's in her natural position alongside Wilco, which again, we speak about mentors being alongside Wilco. The reality is just now, for the most part of the season, the early part, they were going toe to toe for that number 9 just because of the system. And then tonight we've asked Laura to play off the right, which she's done in occasions now this season, that we're trying to play her off there and still have her close enough to Wilco to affect the game. So she's having to learn as she goes, and it's different being at Rangers, and week in, week out the expectation is to win. For Laura being out on loan, she's had a really good education at Motherwell, and the expectation there is different for her in terms of the battle every week and being able to thrive in that environment. She did that for a really good spell in her career. Now the pressure for her is to be here and to score goals and to be scoring in the big games, in the moments that matter. But again, when you speak about players that are fit and training hard and creating the environment and testing us as coaches and wanting more and doing more and living and breathing Rangers, she's one of them. Great. Okay, Magic, thanks a lot. Cheers.
Every night is the Rangers Journal night.